Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut hasn't lived up to the hype, but his story is still being written. In China, we saw a glimpse of what could be. Hamilton stormed the sprint pole, then controlled and dominated the sprint race to take his first win in red. Proof that even now, in a car he can trust, he's still got it. However, despite the sprint win breakthrough in China, Lewis Hamilton's Ferrari debut has been plagued by inconsistency, setup struggles, and a car that still isn't quite tailored to his strengths. There's no hiding it, Lewis's adaptation to Ferrari hasn't been easy. The SF25, while being completely revised, and even Ferrari saying that this is a new car completely, it still struggles with rear end grip and consistency. Ferrari said that this was their only option to continue their development of these regulations, but by the time they sort the car out, will it be too late? The SF25 is fast sometimes, but only in a narrow operating window. While Charles Leclerc has been able to extract the maximum performance in qualifying, Hamilton's been playing catch up, which, to be honest, can be expected. Hamilton is still adapting to driving in a Ferrari, and as good as he is human, believe it or not. Switching teams after being with one for such a long period of time, and being with the same engine manufacturer his whole career, and then dealing with an inconsistent car while then trying to adapt at the same time can't be easy. And it's not for a lack of effort either. It's been often reported that Lewis is often the first to enter the paddock and the last to leave, often staying until the early hours of the morning. So I think this shows his commitment to wanting to get better. He's clearly throwing everything at it, whether it's hours in the sim, long debriefs, pouring through every single piece of data he can, working with the engineers to find where he can bridge that gap. He hasn't given up, and he is still finding his feet in Ferrari. However, it's no secret that since the introduction of the ground effect regulations, Hamilton has been quietly one of the drivers most affected. His driving style, which relies on rotation under trail braking and rear end stability, clashes with the handling traits of these low rake, stiff suspension cars. And he seems to struggle even more when the car isn't as low to the ground as he wants it to be. Many times he said that he wants his car to be lower, but Ferrari are struggling with this. Like when we saw Lewis get disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix for the very same reason, which also leads me to believe we might continue to see a fast Ferrari in sprint races this year. Due to less plank wear during sprints and being able to run the car at a more optimum window, but then having to readjust for main qualifying and races to avoid excessive wear over a full race distance. Now, as I've said many times on this channel, I am not an engineer, and if I was, I'd probably be a very rich man and lying on a beach somewhere, so I can't solve their problems. But whatever the problem is, Ferrari need to figure it out, and they need to figure it out fast if they want to try and salvage this season. There is hope that from the Barcelona GP, with the many DRS restrictions coming in, that it might close the gap further between the top teams, as it's thought that McLaren and Mercedes have been shown recently in some clips that they are benefiting heavy with this system. Add in some upgrades for Ferrari and they could be right in the mix, but by the time they do that, could it be too late? It's obviously very close this season. There's so many small margins between all of the teams, and race to race I think we're going to see varies of who is going to be the strongest. It's just so close, and any advantage another team can get, it's going to pay dividends come the end of the season. One interesting thing I think is if Ferrari will change the braking system to something a bit more to what Lewis Hamilton has been used to in the past and at Mercedes, and that could make a massive difference. We all know braking, confidence and feel is one of the most important parts of Lewis Hamilton's driving. He did this in his first season at Mercedes around mid-season, so it would give him that extra confidence that he needs and the extra connection he's been missing. I think we could see a real shift in his performances. However, is it best to adjust to what he has now rather than go back to what he's used to? We all know every week Lewis is trying to adjust his driving style to extract more out of the car, but one of his main issues is braking. I think though the Chinese sprint and race is a reminder that if you give Lewis Hamilton a car that gives him confidence, he will deliver every single time. I don't really believe that Lewis has just lost it. At times last year, like in Silverstone and Spa, and even moments this year, we've seen when he's connected with the car, it's like nothing has changed from years ago when he was winning week in and week out. He just looks dominant. When he's in that sweet spot, we see the pace is there, but it's just finding that consistent confidence in these cars that Lewis just seems to be really struggling with. He's yet to really have a car in these regulations that he can trust in every race. Not even in every race. Every session seems to be different for him. He struggles with consistency, and honestly, as the season goes on, I think we might see Lewis Hamilton get better and better and maybe starting to match Charles Leclerc more often, or at least being right there or thereabouts. Because historically, Lewis has always been someone who grows into a season, he understands the car more, he learns how to manage the weaknesses, and by the time we hit the second half of the season, he usually finds another gear. We also still have to remember, it's still very early days in his Ferrari career. It's a brand new environment, a totally new culture, new engineers, new systems, even new ways of approaching a race weekend. It's not realistic to expect instant perfection, and yet, despite all the early struggles, there's still hope. This isn't just about 2025, 2026 is coming fast. New regulations, new engines, a huge reset across the whole grid. I think this is the main reason why Lewis switched to Ferrari. He didn't switch for the 2025 season, although he would have wished for a more competitive car. He would have known that there is a huge chance of something happening in 2026. After a huge regulation change, just like what we saw in 2013, when he made the same decision and dominated in 2014 with new regulations. Has Hamilton seen something that we haven't once again? The Mercedes engine though is considered to be the class of the field again, but Ferrari are keeping things very, very quiet and hush, which could be a good sign or a disaster. We don't know yet. I don't think we're going to know till it starts. Now, Lewis didn't come to Ferrari just to coast towards retirement. He came for the challenge to build something, to chase that 8th world title. And if Ferrari can give him the car when the new era begins, with Hamilton a part of that project, 2026 could be something really, really special. Now, I'm not putting my trust in Ferrari to deliver this, but we will see what happens. It's a gamble, it's a mountain to climb, but if there's one thing we know about Lewis Hamilton, he doesn't back down from a challenge, he leans into it. It's not how you start, it's how you finish. And he will also have the challenge of Charles Leclerc, and he has still got to prove himself against Charles, who is one of the fastest, youngest drivers on the grid. Well, I said youngest, he's definitely not the youngest anymore. But if the 2026 Ferrari is going to be a top car, he will still have to beat Charles Leclerc. But for some reason, I still have confidence in Lewis, because every now and then he pulls out one of these typical Lewis Hamilton's performances, and I think that just comes when he has the confidence in his car. I just think that if he has a car that he has confidence in, like with new regulations that are going to be less ground effect, it might suit his driving style more again, and with a fresh start, new regulations, it might just help him come along. But I do kind of think 2026 might be his last chance. If the car isn't going to be that great, I don't think he's going to stick around for long. But if you have a brain, I think it's pretty silly to ever rule out Lewis Hamilton. He is a 7-time world champion for a reason. So I guess we will see what happens. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you think Lewis Hamilton is failing at Ferrari, or do you think Ferrari are failing Lewis Hamilton? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you like this video, make sure to give it a like, it really helps out. Make sure to subscribe. Most of you aren't subscribed and it really helps me out. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, so please help me reach that goal. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.